everybody. It is officially improvement season.
Exciting time.
Very exciting time. What he said.
With so much enthusiasm.
A man of few words. A man of few words.
so much enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Exciting time. Just get back on stage, Ashley. I'm bored.
So I'm here with Coach Adam in his office, and we're kind of going over, what needs to be done for this year to make the best physique possible when I step on stage at the O. But with that being said, let's dive into a little bit of what we're going to be talking about as far as diet, nutrition, training, and all that good stuff during this very important time, what we like to call improvement season.
Yes.
Not off season.
I think this is a good video for people to watch what an advanced athlete does in their improvement season, and maybe you can use some of these tools as well.
Wild cake is sitting right in front.
It's diet cake.
There's a story behind it.
It's diet cake.
Funny placement.
Really good, really full. And your walk, you've been practicing your walk a little bit more?
Absolutely not.
You have? Your walk looks better. Like you're getting more twisty on your hips in the front walk. Yeah, look at you.
I could get way more twisty, but believe me, I'll forget it once I do it. I was getting a little twisty there, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were. You were twistier. Yeah.
Okay, well,
But your physique-wise, the only place I'm seeing any bit of softness is just the lower back a little bit, but the glutes are staying tight in your trouble areas. When you do your back pose, we know that area that comes in real quick on you. Like for you guys watching, it's her lower glutes, like the lower middle part of her glute, and then the outside here gets a little bit too. So inside, middle, and then outside, and then but it's not really accumulating, and you're up 5. Well, you've been 6 pounds up. Now you're up 4.5 pounds from stage weight.
We'll give it a 5 because I've been seeing more 125s than anything.
And I do think that your body is getting used to the calories now, and I think that that's the biggest issue. Honestly, is just getting in all those calories. And your body needs it with this shoulder workout, for sure. But you are looking quite shouldery, I will say. Look at that right there. That's crazy.
It's not quite as sharp, but look at there.
The details.
You need to cut again.
The details there. I mean, right now, considering the weight and how much, like how full your shoulders are, you're probably like 3 weeks of dieting, like to have you.
Well, you're way more wishful thinking than me.
5 pounds.
I am thinking like 60.
5 pounds.
Yeah. Maybe not even 5 pounds this time.
Yeah.
I have came into some shows at like 122
this
year. So although you saw 120 in the thing, that was my lowest. That was like a freakishly low number.
Yeah.
I was like 121, 122. And then even the day of the show at Wasatch last year, I just happened to have a scale in my room. I was 123.
Yeah.
And I still, I don't know, going by softness, I feel like.
No, I think it's 3 weeks to get 4 to 5 pounds off, maybe even 3 pounds off, and then it's the water retention. From the foods that you're eating and stuff too. So like probably extra energy drinks, water retention from,
3 gallons of
ton of water.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, we wouldn't, I don't think it would be smart to try it in 3 weeks, but doing a show, cutting it 4 weeks.
I might just hop into one,
Yeah, cutting for a show 4 weeks and maybe having a reload here and there would make sense.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess my question to you is like, upper body wise, do you think need a little more, or do you think I could do that within a month period before I start cutting again? And when do you think Arnold, although I could in theory get ready in 3 to 4 weeks, the safer method of getting ready, knowing that I'll get a better result to cut for the Arnold.
Yeah, so
If I want to do the Arnold next.
is there a show 2 weeks before the Arnold?
I'll have to double check. I know there's one in August and August.
So
Charlotte.
best case scenario would be a show 2 weeks before the Arnold, cutting for 4 weeks into that show, and then having that pre-show week, right, to go into it. So that would give us like a 6-week cut for the Arnold technically,
Okay, 6 weeks.
and then 4 weeks going into that show, if that's possible.
Oh, I see. Because if I'm not 100% on point on that show, it's not a big deal. Is it?
Yeah, if that's possible, that'd be great. But if it's not possible, then 5 weeks out from the Arnold, start cutting, type of thing. Then you have yourself a reload, and you have yourself, you get ahead, and we're like, okay, this week we'll, have a couple reload meals, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then if I compete after Arnold,
Yeah.
it'll be a doozy.
Yeah. So, but everything's accomplished in the off. It's being accomplished. Your shoulders are getting better. You've gone through a super high frequency. Your calories are up. Your cardio is way down. You look fuller. You're not getting a ton of body fat. Maybe a pound or two of that. It's pretty much perfect. So, I do think that there's going to be some water retention with how you're eating foods and drinking and all that stuff too. But I think that's messing with you more than anything. But if it was body fat accumulation, you would see it in the areas we always see it, not on the waistline.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's true. Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Coach Adam.
Yes.
It's a good one to put on the camera. So this is all about the improvement season. Trying to get the macros, trying to get in those macros.
What are you eating there?
This is Sam Catlin's famous protein macro-friendly banana bread. Probably won't taste the same because I have minty gum in my mouth.
It's surprisingly good.
That's another thing. I've been chewing gum like crazy.
Oh, yeah?
I've been pack or two a day.
Pack or two a day? That's a lot of gum. That's crazy.
A lot of sweeteners, man.
Yeah, I didn't realize that much. That's crazy.
Well, how else am I supposed to keep my breath this fresh?
So here's an example of like how your body's just kind of, I think, fighting you towards the end here. Obviously 3 weeks of shows in a row, a lot of things going on with digestion, which was not common. Sleep was an issue. And you can look at just by the hour fluctuations happening, and you can see here a little bit of water retention accumulating, a little bit softer on the core.
Yeah.
Just a little bit softer in the legs too, and you could see the difference going from it was just so many weird fluctuations happening.
Yeah.
I mean, you could look at the waistline water accumulation on.
My suit is like, not tight, but like my suit is cutting into like my fluff,
Yeah.
which is really weird. Like that doesn't happen.
So I'm glad that you're taking those little breaks. I think it's just doing, because you did 3 shows in 3 weeks, but you also did a lot of travel within those 3 shows. That was different time zones and different, one was 6 days later, and then it was 7 days later. So I think, we just ran into that wall. We ran into that wall where weird things started happening, and when consistency becomes an issue,
Oh yeah.
it's like, okay, we got to slow down for a second and figure it out. But
And if you don't mind pulling up this one too, you can really see even my bloat from the front. And that I never look like that. That is so weird. Like I've never seen. It doesn't even look like me.
yeah, it is
That
kind of
does
weird,
not
right?
look like me, does it?
No, because usually, even from the front, you're still more curvy in here too.
That is the strangest thing. Like, ew.
Yeah, and you can see your shoulders here just started flattening out a
Even
little
my
bit.
face looks like it's holding water. How is that possible?
It's just weird that it happened so quick.
I don't know. I think it was just definitely my body fighting against me. I don't know.
That is strange, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, body's fighting you for sure. But no, it's good. I think how you're responding now, I wish it was how you're responding then, right? Because
Yeah.
you're more consistent and you're being less strict. So it's crazy. I think your body just needed a little break.
Yeah.
So that is funny, right? You don't look. I might not have guessed that to be you.
I look
You know what I mean?
like I'm 20 pounds up in that picture on the right.
I might not guess that to be you. That's funny. You just see, and you even have
Oh,
here.
yeah.
You circled this picture.
That's
just a
that
water
right
weight.
there.
Yeah, so under these circumstances of that happening, it is definitely strange, you know, because there's no rhyme or reason why these things happen. You know, it's not like, oh, you ate so many more calories and, you know, did something so different where that would happen. But
and usually the great thing about my physique, it's usually pretty dang predictable and consistent.
Yeah.
Like I'm usually like, this is how I'm going to look. I look like this on this day. I'm going to look the same the next day. Not the case here. This string of 3 shows was a wake-up call, and I needed to take a step back and not be so stubborn, because I'm very stubborn sometimes, and I'm like, gotta push through. But it's like, you know, once the 3rd show in a row where I'm like, whoa, I'm not looking my best, I'm like, we gotta take a little mini break.
Yeah.
As hard as it is important that I'm making the best decisions moving forward, and not just thinking of like a short term, like, satisfaction of being in a show, right? Oh, I can jump into a show this weekend or that weekend. Whereas, like, I want more than just like a short-term goal. I want a long-term, bigger goal to be met, and in order to do that, I gotta listen to my body sometimes, I guess.
yeah, that's what we always say, you know, and you're a coach too, so you say, you know, listen to your body, and this is just one of those ones where it's, you know.
My body was so rebellious.
It was
like,
yelling at you at
F
the end.
you, Ashley.
It was yelling at you at the end.
Give
You know
me a
what?
break. I want to sleep.
But it's working really good for you now. It's
Yes.
being very nice to you, right?
Yes,
So,
thank you. Thank you, body. Thank you.
so no, I think we're at that. And honestly, now I think we're actually at the point, because you're getting such consistent days, that we can, you know, really look at that show and say, okay, yeah, let's target it. The Arnold makes sense. You know, I was a little worried that you had the Arnold at first. I was like, well, I don't know if it's going to be enough time in between. But now how you're responding and how your calories are up and your weight is even down, like it just shows, okay, she's ramping up pretty quickly.
My digestion's a lot better too.
Yeah.
A lot better, even with all these artificial sweeteners. It's a lot better. So, something to be said there, you know.
Now you've done very good. You're doing very good in the off season. This mini break, this improvement season,
Yes.
this mini break. So
Cool. Well, thank you.
no, you look great. I think just honestly, just the tiniest bit, like the tiniest bit of shoulder here. I mean,
Yeah, I see it though. I mean, I think as the sport gets more competitive each and every year, it's like you want to be ahead. You don't want to be behind, right? You don't want to be just chugging along. You just want. I want to make a noticeable difference, and you know, I think my shoulders have definitely come a long way in the last few years, for sure.
Yeah.
If you take a look at even some of the shows I did last year, they very stringy arms in comparison to what I got going on now. I feel like now my shoulders can hang a little bit better. But if I want to be the best of the best, if I want to be at the top, I got to make sure that the shoulders aren't just like decent. I need to make sure they're good and they can match the rest of me.
Yeah.
Especially those popping hams. You know what I'm saying? Those popping hams.
now your balance is great already. You know, and if you were to really go after your balance, you could make the argument that lower body might still be just a hair bigger than the upper body. And I think that the last bit of creating this perfect piece of art is a little bit more. So I do agree with them on the shoulders and arms thing, to get just a tiny bit more. But I mean, we're splitting hairs here at this point.
Yeah, I mean, but when you are at the top, because it is such a competitive sport, every little tiny thing matters. We start looking at the calf muscles too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like everything. So everything matters at the top. Whereas this would be, I'm sure like if you were to see this and you're just like any other, you know, athlete, it'd be like, great, good to go. But we want more than just good to go. I want to be spectacular. I want to be the best I've ever been. So, you know.
Well, I think we're better every year. So, you know, this is a good reset, and I think we'll be better at the next one. I think we're going to shock a lot of people at the Arnold UK too. Yeah. So.
Be like, who is that? Because honestly, I got to buy a new wardrobe for these guns.
Holsters. You need to buy a new holster for these guns.
I mean, right now I'm wearing sleeveless. I can only wear tank tops because my arms are just exploding.
I heard that was a real shirt, and until you put it on, and then it popped off.
That's what I popped my pecs too. My pecs just popped. So you know.
You weren't supposed to take BuffBunny literally. It's just you were more bunny than buff when you started with that.
True. I'm definitely doing the Arnold Classic UK. That's a set in stone deal. My flights are booked. My contract signed and returned. I'm on the list. It's official. that's no fish show. But I might want to jump into one a little bit before that, just because the Arnold Classic UK is a huge show, as you know. So it is nice to do a little tune-up show, I think, before. So we'll kind of see how that goes and see how I'm making my improvements and how I'm looking from week to week. But I'm definitely keeping my eye out for maybe a show beforehand, just because I tend to, what we've kind of discovered is usually what's the case is I usually look better at that second show if I'm doing them like a back-to-back kind of thing, or if it's like a 2-week in between situation, I usually look better the second show. So maybe even if I find one that's, in September, a few weeks before, we're keeping my options open.
It's a show.
I'm rationalizing here. I really am. You guys you don't know. I love competing so much. It's so hard for me to just not compete all the time. And I have biggest FOMO when I see shows go down and I'm not in it. I'm like, oh man, what if I was there?
I know.
The reason why we're doing this is because I was told from a judge like, Ashley, you got a lot of potential, but let's, maybe take just a little time off to build a little bit more.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more. And I keep getting the same feedback over and over about these guns right here. They need to be juicier. Yeah. I need to make these angel hairs into linguinis.
Learning a lot about your physique during this time off too, which has been really cool to see. And I think people will see it. We're going to go over some of the stats, which you guys can look at and realize, okay, it's pretty cool to see like the data of it too. So
not only was that the reason why I'm taking some time off, but there's the other few things as well that I think we should mention. So I think I did briefly touch upon this like in a few podcasts ago, but I did 3 shows in a row, right? And when I did Toronto, even that was like my first of the 3 shows, I won that show. But I wasn't 100% happy. And I know that sounds so strange. I won the show. I should be thrilled. And, I was grateful and I was, happy that I won. However, the Ashley versus Ashley part in my head was like, that's not your best look. And it wasn't, if I'm being completely honest. I won, but it wasn't my best. I wasn't like thrilled, because sometimes like I won't even win a show, but I will be thrilled because like that's my best look or I made some crazy improvements. But even Toronto, I was like, I won, but I know I've seen myself a lot better before in the past, and then also when I did the next 2 shows, I got second in those. But I think out of those 3 shows, Mile High, I looked the best, which was my second show. And then even then, I wasn't my best either.
Your waistline, the day before the show,
yeah. So that's actually for the last show though, that when it really was apparent, I think. But so even Mile High, it wasn't my best, but it was better than Toronto. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then the next week was Patriots. And that was probably like my worst show in a long time. The way I looked there was not something I was super thrilled at. And, this is just, as a competitor, you have to take a step back and really evaluate, the pluses and minuses, because every look's going to be a little different. You might be stronger in one area for one show and then the other show not so much. But what I did notice, especially with the Patriots, is I would say even that few weeks, I had some weird bloating problems. And I wouldn't say problems. It's not like I was in pain, but my body just wasn't cooperating. Yeah. And there's even this picture, like I had weird like back fluff. And it's like the strangest thing because I would be lean.
Yeah, it was like 3 days before you were shredded.
Yeah.
And then it would just like fluff up.
And I'd get fluffy in my back, which that's not usually a place I would get fluffy at. That's like unlike me. And in general, my body just wasn't being cooperative. And maybe it was because I was tired or just overdoing it. Sometimes my head is 2 steps before my physique. Yeah. So in my mind, I'm like, I want to do what I'm going to do. I'm so motivated. I was. It's just my body wasn't cooperating. And for me, I'm usually pretty consistent. Like, I bring in consistent looks, like without any problems usually. But these last 3 shows that I competed in, they were just kind of all over the place. Like you mentioned, like 3 days before a show, I'd be like super tight and crispy, even to the point where even before Toronto, I was like, whoa, I'm too lean. I'm way too lean. And I think I actually was too lean at that point. And then carving up a little bit, and then I looked fine. And then, then I looked too fluffy, and then so it was like a roller coaster. My physique was like it
was changing daily.
Yeah, like what are we going to get today? Like, who knows?
And the softness didn't make sense either.
Yeah.
Because the calories weren't there enough to cause that.
Yeah.
Right? It looked like it was like 3 pounds of body fat or something. And we're like,
and it was like all on my back. And
I'm like, how's this even happening? Like everything's the same. The calories haven't increased. Like it doesn't make sense. And when it becomes more of an issue, like more consistent of an issue, maybe some time, a little bit of break might be helpful. So.
Yeah. So that's, what I was thinking. When all else fails, maybe it's just a sign that my body just needed this little tiny itsy bitsy little break, and who really knows what the cause of that was. Maybe it was stress, because sometimes I'm very, how do I explain this? I'm a very black and white person, right? So I don't get deep in my feelings. I'm like, go, 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 go. Adrenaline, go. You know what I mean?
You're pretty, Ashley, you're pretty like old school tough chick.
Yeah, I guess so.
You don't really realize it. The more I've been on you like 5 years, like consistently now.
So I'm very much a go, go, go person. And sometimes I need to remind myself, just chill out for a little bit. Just chill out, Ashley. So like I said, maybe that was a reason, maybe not. Maybe my body was just saying F you. I don't know. We'll never know.
No.
But that's why we're taking this little mini break too, in addition to having to build these guns.
And we're increasing calories. Cardio is decreased, and this is...
decreased cardio by big time.
Oh, totally.
Oh, my goodness gracious. That is my favorite thing about taking this little mini break. I'm doing 1 BS cardio a week. BS cardio. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not going quite as intense. It's 1 Orange Theory per week. And that's it.
So with Ashley's data, since she started, and it's cool, I don't mind showing you guys everything. This is, so she treats it like she's a normal, just like a normal client when she's in here. That's the only way it works. But this is her dashboard of what she sees. We have off season, kinda. That's our plan.
I can't believe you made a big typo there and you called it off season.
Oh, you're right. That is.
It's just a typo. I know you meant
I'm gonna change
it's just
it.
The fingers just slipped. I understand.
I'm gonna get fired.
Well, we just made this a thing today. So.
Yeah. so this is her actual menu plan of what she can eat and everything that's how her menu plan is. So I don't care if you guys see it, but the totals right now, so you guys can see in the off season, is 19. So she's doing 1,991 calories, 42 grams of fat, 224 carbs, 179 protein, which is overshooting on protein. But it doesn't hurt her. We've checked her labs. It doesn't hurt her values or anything like that of her liver. So, and protein's more satiating too. So that is what it's at. Now, the problem is we've worked her up to these calories. And so we'll go into the issues of that. Now, you got to understand what we got to look at. What are we trying to do in the off season? So the off season, or the improvement season, what we're trying to do here is a few things. So one, we're trying to reverse and correct anything that's happened metabolically from her dieting for a prolonged period, at least to some capacity, and get her metabolism revving up again, right? Because something weird was happening the end last time. Hopefully with some higher calories for a period of time, we can rev up her metabolism and do some correctional things, right? The other thing is, and this is going to be for most of you out there, to be honest, almost all of you out there, when you diet really hard for longer periods of time, and there's periods of time where she does have to diet hard. For the most part, she's pretty steady. But then a show will come around and she's a little behind or whatever, and we'll go hard for a week or so. That could have some hormonal issues, and when you start eating those calories again, getting your fats up again, your natural hormone production comes right back. Let's look at her stats. So when we look at her stats, these are basically them. So she started off with her doing her show as her first check-in as a baseline. And so every client will go through this same thing where we track all their measurements and whatnot, and we can see it like in real time. She was 120, 34 on the hips, 23 on the waist on basically show day. I mean, it's
Yeah, that's like right before the show.
yeah. And then after the show, the highest the weight got was to 126. So we started off, reloaded her, got her to 124 as a weight after the show. Like a week after, when we reloaded her weight got to 124. Her hips went up a half an inch, and her waist went up 1.2 inches. Now, that's a little bit more than the waist would typically go up, but she was having those weird things happening with her waist still at that point.
Yeah, and also too, if you want to mention that, like sometimes when after a show, if you have foods that maybe you haven't had in a while, your body can do some weird things with the digestion. My digestion was horrible on that week, and it obviously affected many numbers, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I can't even remember what I had. It wasn't anything crazy, but I definitely had some things that maybe I haven't had in a while that had gluten in it or dairy, or I don't know. So that didn't help. That didn't, so after a show, sometimes it does happen, not desirable, but
Yeah. And everyone, when you have that peak week and you clean up your diet, and we're doing, like, at the end, that's something that we'll do is we have a very systematic approach to getting the waistline smaller. That's something we've kind of fine-tuned here for years. Just like what foods are easy digesting, what vegetables are going to be the right ones to go with, what types of proteins, what types of everything to get that waistline to just really, really get down there. I would say that's, like, if anything, like, I'm known for at least, would be that part of it, that getting that waistline to crazy.
And I should also mention too, that's a 2-week gap in between the June 15th and June 27th.
Okay, so that one is, so 1.2, and then as her digestion started getting better, it went to 23.8.
Makes a big difference.
Yep, almost a half an inch almost. Went from 124 and then went up again another 1.5 pounds. It was great. Everything's going the right direction. Next week, 126, everything's going great again, another half a pound. So then the waist measurement went up just slightly again. So we made another adjustment. We trended down because she started gaining a little bit in the waistline. So we trended the calories just a hair. And now they're up to, the 1900 plus that we talked about. But the issue that she's having now is actually even eating all those calories, right? Which
I have the opposite problem of most people. I am not a big foodie.
Peanut stomach. At this point,
I am not a big foodie. I don't have the biggest appetite, but I never want to force feed myself either. But here's what I'm thinking. I'm drinking so much water because,
this is funny.
The Starburst packets, they make the all pink packets. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I see them.
So at Walmart, they have the gallon sizes where you put one big stick into your gallon, and I've became addicted to those, and I'll have 2, sometimes 3 gallons of that a day. It's water, but it's flavored water. But it's taking up space in my stomach because I'm drinking so much of it that it's I'm not even hungry by the end of the day. But also, usually I'm more hungry in the morning and in the afternoon, and then by evening, I'm not really all that hungry. So even then, sometimes I don't hit that number, but I was a lot better at that this week though than previous. So, sometimes it won't be 1900 or so. Sometimes I'll, want to go to sleep before my last meal, and that's okay, whatever. But I'm definitely eating more than in season, and that's for sure. In season though, I should mention that even in season, I wouldn't say I'm drastically low on calories.
No.
Maybe what do I at? 1,200.
You'll be at 15, 1350, and then the last week before the show, before the peak week, is 12.
Thank you all so very much for watching. We appreciate ya. Adam appreciates ya.
Definitely.
You might want to follow him for some more helpful information if you're not already, which I'm pretty sure they are, because if they're following me, they're following me, and vice versa. But go ahead, shout out your Instagram.
Yes, guys.
And YouTube.
At Team Elite Physique on Instagram and on YouTube /Team Elite Physique. We'll always throw up some tips, some secret things that you might not be seeing on her channel with her, and vice versa. So thank you guys so much for watching.